Continuing on with AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies list, we arrive at number 69, Tootsie. This is the first one in a while I didn't have much knowledge on. I know I saw this in my early 20s as a film education of sorts, but aside from the broadest strokes, I had no memory of it. It was nice to be able to throw something on for a proper screening, having a good notion it would at least be a solid movie. This age of streaming is almost entirely quantity over quality, and I'm getting sick of it. Tootsie opens up on a young Dustin Hoffman playing Michael Dorsey. Dorsey is a talented actor, but still struggling to find work since he has a reputation of being incredibly difficult to work with. An actor playing an actor can often seem like the filmmaker is patting themselves on the back just a little bit too hard, but someone with the caliber of Dustin Hoffman really pulls it off. The opening is a bunch of quick scenes of Dorsey being rejected for roles audition after audition. It does a solid job of setting up the character's circumstance, and it also shows that he is a skilled actor, it's his personality people don't like. Dorsey swallows some of his pride and has a waitering job to pay his bills. His personality even ruins this entry-level position for him as he loses his temper and argues with his manager at the restaurant. Even though we've spent up until this point hammering home the point that Dorsey's difficult, he does have a friend group. This group of friends throws him a birthday party. Sandy, played by Terry Garr, and Jeff, played by Bill Murray, hear Dorsey's string of complaints about his non-starter career going down the tubes. I can't believe I forgot about Bill Murray in this movie. That guy is incredible. Sandy is also a struggling actor. She shares her own stories of being unable to book a role. This is the push Michael needs for his infamous idea that is still referenced and parodied in pop culture to this day. Michael Dorsey creates the persona of Dorothy Michaels and starts auditioning for women's parts in disguise. Dorsey transforming into Dorothy is what really makes Tootsie stand out. The movie shows the start of Dorsey's double life. It's played for laughs, but not in a malicious way. It still has some heart to it. Even looking back at it with modern eyes when the topic of gender identity is such a huge topic of conversation, using the basics of clothing, a wig, and some makeup, Dorothy is born and is a fairly convincing woman for the times. His first attempt is for a role on a soap that Sandy is also going for. Along with the new look, Dorsey seems to have a new attitude internally as well. Going as another person has him keeping his personality traits that cost him his career in the first place mostly in check. Dorothy is a bit more assertive than you'd think by first seeing her. Of course, that's not knowing who he really is. Instead of being put off by this, the casting directors at Dorothy's audition find it refreshing and they book her for the role. The project Dorsey books is called Southwest General. It doesn't kick off great, but eventually becomes a hit. The assertiveness and strange nature of Dorothy's performance resonate with audiences just like it did with the casting directors. The stakes and comedy is upped with the incredibly chauvinistic director Ron Carlyle, played by Dabney Coleman. Dorothy befriends a co-star, Julie Nichols, played by the always incredible Jessica Lange. Julie has no idea who Dorothy really is, and their friendship deepens. Things get funnier and way more uncomfortable when Sandy also starts falling for Dorothy in a way. It seems the people behind the scenes on Tootsie couldn't get enough of the premise of men hitting on a woman who was a man in secret, since this very thing happens more than a couple times. Of course, Dorsey's dual life begins to unravel. Sandy's the first to see behind the curtain when he sees Dorsey midway through his transformation. Feeling betrayed, hurt, and probably more than a little awkward, Sandy confronts Dorsey. This leads to one of the more emotional scenes in the movie, where Dorsey is humanized trying to explain his actions. During a live broadcast of Southwest General, Dorsey decides to come clean. He goes off script and reveals himself as a man. He attempts to work this into the show by claiming to be the twin brother of the woman that he was originally portraying. The movie is a very up ending. Dorsey has learned a lesson and isn't the arrogant guy that we first met. He starts his apology tour, explaining his deception to all of those he met along the way. Julie is singled out as someone since their bond was real. He expresses his genuine feelings for her, and she forgives him. The movie ends implying the two have something of a future together, which in the real world is insane, having nothing to do with gender, but just starting a relationship based on that big of lies. You'd think the person would be running for the hills, but whatever. Revisiting this one after decades, I could still see why it's considered a classic. The performances and composition of the movie are rock solid. With how things are today, this movie would not be made. I do suggest giving it a shot, but keeping in mind it was made over 4 decades ago. Things were very different. We always have to grade history on a curve. Check out this video next for more of AFI's 100 Best Movies.